Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Justin and Max Games, and we're going to be doing a review of the game
Lisboa.
Yeah. So, Lisboa is a game, of course, so everyone knows what the game is all about. The history from 1755 when Lisbon was destroyed destroyedified is a good way to put it. People don't realize also that or maybe it does say somewhere in the instructions, that the main library of Portugal also burned down, and that was as bad in some ways as like when Alexandria burned down. I mean, so much of its culture and history was lost because everything was consolidated in one place. Hopefully we don't have something like that happens to humanity again. The game took us we did it over 2 days because, one, we were teaching you and we did it over like in the evening, and so we did the first era or the first period, and then we did the next period in the morning. Mm-hmm. So give me your initial reactions to the gameplay. He won, by the way, by a good amount.
But so it's a very heavy game.
It's a heavy game.
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that are going on with the different ideas, and like the cards can mean so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I were to play it again, I would use the economy cards more.
Right, yeah, the ones you tuck underneath.
Because the only time I ever used economy cards was when I got them in the beginning of the game, or when I got them randomly at the end of the first round.
Right.
So I'd use economy cards more, and I might try to unlock more cards earlier, because I feel like that'd be beneficial to me.
We're calling them economy cards because that's what I call them. In the rule book, they're called Treasury Cards.
Treasury Cards.
Because then it affects the Treasury. Everything, the interesting thing is that you can only consider so many factors when doing a turn. Because otherwise you end up just, because everything's going to affect something else. If you play a card into your portfolio from the top, something happens. If you do it on the bottom, something happens. And you have to be able to do actions.
Because how I think of my turns is I think of, I want to do that or one type of thing. Like, I want to build a shop or a store. And I think of what might happen, where I can build it, how I can build it.
What's your benefit?
What's my benefit? Yep. What's other people's benefits?
See, that's the part I don't think about so much. Unless I'm building the public buildings, which surround the house, and we'll show some pictures of the building. Yep. Unless you're building a public building, it doesn't really affect other people that much.
But it might affect a little bit because it might get other people negative. Or if you have remembered that someone, let's say, gets 1 point per every brown building built, and you build a brown building, you give them a point.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, you're going to give them the points for the brown building.
But basically what I do is I think of one thing I want to do. I think of how I could do it, what I could do, what will happen. I do it. And then next turn I think of, okay, now what I'm going to do.
Now, I'm going to do a comparison. Although this game, to me, is extremely highly rated. There's a game that this reminds me of just a little bit in one aspect, and that game is Scythe. And you're like, well, how is this? And Scythe is a good game. I mean, nothing spectacular, but I like the game enough.
Scythe is a good game.
And it's a good game. It's a solid game. It's fun. And the issue with Scythe is that you're trying to maximize how much you can do on one turn. How many different actions you can do.
It's like completely different styles because
it's totally different
Scythe,
styles.
You're trying to do as many things as possible.
And I'll tell you again why Scythe reminds me of this a little bit. It's basically an action selection game.
Yeah.
And the action selections, and I'll show again a picture of it.
The board.
They interlock in an interesting way. For example, you need to put out your people into the various offices. And then you can get plans to use them for later. But of course, in order to use those plans to build a public building, you need to visit a different person. So those things are in different areas.
And then just like one action that I didn't really do at all, was spend items or resources to do each action.
Oh, Max, when he was tucking cards,
I was only selling to ships.
Selling to ships because he got some ships early on in the game, so he wasn't doing the small actions.
And also,
as much.
I got points for sailing ships.
Right. So that's the thing. That early. So in the beginning of the game, everyone gets a couple of random things. You get a random following tile, and you also get a random clergy tile, and that sometimes can direct you in your strategy. He got as your random one
For
was
every boat you sail, you get 2 points. And so
he just wanted to generate an engine doing that.
And that's what I did.
Yep, and it got you a ton of points during the game, especially towards the end when you were sailing with two boats.
Yeah, I got
returning.
2 boats twice, and then plus all the money I got from that.
So overall, I'm very happy with the game. It's a long game, and you can sometimes be waiting there considering what you're doing, but you have to always see what someone else is doing first. So you can't consider too far in advance because someone can just swoop in and change things for you. Oh, now opening up a public building is $1 more. I don't have that dollar. Or someone now suddenly puts a couple of their officials into one of the offices, and now it's going to cost you more influence, which you might not have or not want to spend.
I actually got down to 1 influence once.
Yeah, you were down on the very
so
little...
So 3 influence.
And then you're going to have to start spending points if you don't
which
have that.
Which I did once.
I think you spent 1 point once.
Because early game, I spent 2 points.
Yep.
To get an action, which gave me more influence, and so then I was never short on influence at the rest of the game.
They give you these large characters. They're the courtiers that
tell you what card.
Yeah, when you play a card.
So if someone follows, it won't get confusing.
Which order it goes.
But if it's
never got confusing.
But if it's only 2 or 3 people, I guess maybe with the 4th.
Right. Otherwise, we never moved them onto the cards. It didn't seem necessary.
And then, but my big one is, why is this so huge?
So this is the Treasury Cube. And when you place it on the board, you really can't see the numbers on the other side of the cube. I almost feel that a treasury tile, so that it would remain flat on the board, and you just slide it up and down. Because then one person could say, oh, okay, I could do... Oh, wait a minute, that's right. On the other side of this cube, there's a 4. So I have to remember, I got to spend $4 to do this.
So I sat at the end.
Oh, yeah, you were right in front of the table, so you got to see both sides.
But then the other thing is, I didn't even pay attention to that.
You were just
so like, let's go there. Oh, I have to spend an extra $4? I didn't even.
So what's your rating on the game?
Ooh, what's your rating first?
I'm about a 9.
You're about a 9?
I'm at 8.5 to 9. The only thing that, there's a lot of replayability. I played it a few times now. And I don't get tired of it, but there's a little bit of predictability on what you're going to do and when you're going to build a ship. So it kind of, even though the nuances of how you're going to do it change, and of course the bonuses that come out, there is a little bit predictability, but then again, it is a historical reimagining, a historical reenactment game to a certain extent, not like a war game, but similar. And for that, there is a little bit of predictability of it. That puts me in the 8.5 range. I think I'm going to go 8.5 with it.
I actually really like this game, and this game is actually going to be on my top 10.
Really? Okay, it's already shot up into the top 10.
It's in my top 10. I'm giving it 9.5 rating.
9.5. So I'm around 8.5. You're around 9.5. So I think that 9 is going to be a good place to go.
9's a good rating.
Yeah.
Very decent.
Yeah, more than decent. People rave about it. Some people just like, oh, it's too confusing. It's so incomplicated. It all makes sense. It's a lot of fun. This is a big box, so I don't know how he's going to throw it. I would throw it in a very safe manner if you're going to throw it at all. Are you going to be throwing this box?
Most likely. But anyway, that was a quick and easy review of Lisboa. Ah! Ah! Ah!